All right, let's talk about something that's literally running our world, but most of the time we don't even see it until, well, something goes catastrophically wrong. We're diving into data integrity, the invisible foundation holding our entire digital world together. So, think about this for a second. A massive market crash, a promising clinical trial that suddenly fails, and a scientific study that gets pulled back in disgrace. I mean, on the surface, what could those three things possibly have in common? They seem like they're from totally different worlds, but they're not. They all share one single critical point of failure. And the answer? It's a breakdown in data integrity. It's this core idea that data, whether it's a single number in a financial report or a gigantic medical data set, has to stay accurate, consistent, and trustworthy. From the second it's created to the day it's archived, it can't be corrupted. Honestly, this is the perfect way to think about it. You never, ever think about the concrete foundation of a skyscraper you're in until you see a crack in the wall. Data integrity is exactly like that for our financial systems, our hospitals, and our research labs. When it's strong, everything just works. But when it cracks, the whole building is at risk of coming down. So what really happens when that digital foundation starts to crumble? Because the consequences aren't just an inconvenience on a spreadsheet. They are very real, and they are very, very costly. Let's look at a few examples. First up, finance. The difference here is just night and day. With solid data integrity, you get what you expect: secure bank transfers, reliable company reports, and everyone staying on the right side of the law. Without it, that same system becomes a playground for scammers, fraudsters, and opens the door to absolutely massive fines from regulators. And these aren't just vague, abstract risks, right? We're talking about real-world stuff. Incomplete data on an account can literally pave the way for sophisticated scams. Weak security leads to those horrible data breaches we're always hearing about. And if your reporting is unreliable, you can bet you're going to trigger some painful audits and get hit with penalties for violating crucial anti-money laundering and know your customer rules. Now, let's switch gears to healthcare, where the stakes get even higher. We're talking life and death. With data integrity, doctors make accurate diagnoses, and we get safe medicines from clinical trials. But without it, you can have patients getting the wrong diagnoses, their private medical data getting exposed, and incredible new drugs failing to get approved, all because the data just couldn't be trusted. And this isn't just a what-if scenario. A study from the journal Nature Medicine back in 2020 found a direct link. When the data they fed into an AI for diagnosing cancer was messy or poorly labeled, its ability to spot the cancer just dropped. It really is a case of bad data in leads to bad, and in this case, potentially fatal outcomes. And you see this exact same principle propping up all of scientific research. Good data means other scientists can reproduce your findings and build on them. Bad data? Well, that leads to data sets that are basically junk, embarrassing retractions of published studies, and literally millions of dollars in research funding going right down the drain. To try and fight this, the scientific community came up with what they call the FAIR principles. It's a guideline to make sure data is findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. It's a fantastic standard, but here's the catch. None of it matters if the data itself is garbage to begin with. Integrity has to come first. Okay, so we've seen these big failures in finance, in healthcare, in research. And while they look so different on the surface, they're all coming from the exact same set of root problems. It's a system-wide issue. I mean, look at these shared challenges. They're universal. Take siloed systems. That's just a fancy way of saying a hospital's data can't talk to a researcher's database, which completely kills collaboration. Or think about poor traceability. That's when a bank literally can't follow the digital breadcrumbs of a fraudulent transaction. These problems pop up everywhere. So, if the problems are the same across the board, doesn't it make sense that the solution should be too? The question is, how do we actually build a better, more trustworthy framework for all our data? Well, the answer seems to lie in a decentralized framework, one that's built from the ground up for structured and verifiable data. And that word, decentralized, is key. It means no single company, no single entity has total control. It's a way of rebuilding trust right from the foundation, instead of just hoping a single authority gets it right. So how does it work? Well, it breaks down into three really key steps. First, annotation. This is all about applying consistent labels and metadata so that everyone knows exactly what the data is and where it came from. Second, stewardship. You create a crystal clear, transparent history of who touched the data and when. No more mysteries. And finally, verification. You build a system where anyone involved can audit the records for themselves and confirm that everything is legit. And you can see how this unified approach directly solves the problems we talked about earlier. For finance, having verifiable records is a game changer for compliance. For healthcare, this structure finally gives real support to those FAIR principles and protects patients. And for research, it provides that critical traceability you need to make sure results can actually be reproduced. So, where does this all leave us? What's the big takeaway here? It's that the future of data isn't just about getting more of it. It's about being able to prove that it's real. The future is verifiable. At the end of the day, it really all boils down to this. It doesn't matter what kind of data we're talking about, a stock price, a patient x-ray, or a climate model. The principle is exactly the same. You have to protect that information from being corrupted and make sure it's reliable enough for the huge critical decisions that depend on it. One of our sources put it perfectly, and I think this really says it all. Integrity is the cornerstone of usable data. Without it, data isn't just flawed, it's basically useless noise. Integrity is what turns raw information into a truly valuable, trustworthy asset. And that leaves us with one last question, and it's a big one for you to think about. From the news you read, to the apps on your phone, to the financial and medical institutions you rely on every day, how much of your world is built on a foundation of data that you can actually truly trust? It's definitely something to chew on. Thanks for joining me.